Healing is more than a hashtag.
Healing is prioritizing your well-being.
Healing is growing through our painful moments.
Healing is loving yourself more and more each day.
Healing is not always pretty, but it's worth it.
Healing is gratitude for another beautiful day.
Sis, hey, it's another beautiful day. You grateful?
Come on, healing is
sure am.
gratitude for another beautiful day.
Yes.
Episode done. Episode over.
Mic drop.
It's over,
Period.
It's true. And it's,
oh my gosh,
how you end a thing really matters, because it's the longest lasting thing. That's the last thing that you hear.
yes.
So you're like, oh, okay, like healing is gratitude, and that's just a good way to open up, to close, to all that. So
yes,
hey sis.
Hey sissy, good to see you, to be with you in your presence. As I was telling you right before we got on, you look beautiful, you're glowing, and I think it's important. I think I said this before, we got to celebrate each other. I just believe in it.
Yeah, it's so true. And I came back with, you look radiant. I think when you have peace, you're well loved by family, friends, significant other, whoever. The well of love is full.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Just like, oh man, I'm at peace. And as we said too, that it doesn't mean struggles aren't occurring. It doesn't mean that everything is all great and rainbows are flying over your head and things like that. Even in the midst of issues, struggles, calamity, problems, boulders, hurdles, whatever other name you want to give it, even in the midst of it, we're still grateful, and that doesn't interrupt our peace. Like
exactly.
The thing. So
exactly. I agree. I concur. That's it right there.
There we go. So we are on episode 6. Okay, we're moving.
Look at us just moving on up. Ooh, I like that. We growing. Yes.
It's wonderful and awesome. So last week we ended up talking about married to trauma. And so this week it only makes sense that we're going to be talking about divorcing trauma. So we're going to get into that. But I am Steph Jones, also known as Lilac Calandra, one of your co-hosts for the More Than a Hashtag podcast. I am a marriage and family therapist, mindfulness life coach, and I love to see people on the road to healing, at least knowing that there is a road, there is a journey. I have taken a covenant and a vow to make sure that I'm there to assist people on their road and am on my own road too.
Yes.
So that's who I am in life.
We're on that journey with you. So there's really nothing more for me to add. I'm just going to say I am Lakeisha J. Rigg. I am a career coach, mental health advocate, and just to echo what my sis said, just committed to helping others and ourselves along this journey, because we're in it too. We smiling, throughout, as my sis mentioned, trials, tribulations, etc. All that's going on, but all the while healing and peaceful and grateful.
All of that, we're on the journey. We're not living above. We haven't arrived at some certain, like we're all on the journey together and moving right through it. Okay. Yeah. So let's jump into how to divorce ourselves from trauma. Again, as I mentioned, for those who are just tuning in, last week, we really dissected what it means to be married to trauma. And this week, we're going to really open up and unpack and unpeel and all those other, corporate America words that are used.
Right, all the little other words, little buzzwords.
I'm going to unpack this. Like, okay, cool. So we're going to unpack.
Yes, let's do that. Yes, yo, bag ladies, but unpack. Just we about to unpack. Bag lady. Yes.
We're about to take it all out so we can move on. We're carrying too much baggage and so forth and so on. When we're talking about divorcing from trauma or getting divorced from trauma, especially as a marriage and family therapist who sees couples and loves the sanctity of marriage and all that, divorcing trauma is really a divorce that I celebrate and really encourage. Right. I believe in relationships that it's unfortunate when divorce is the option that, and you want to make sure that as a couple, you've exhausted all the options, you've gone to counseling, you've really tried to humble yourself and really tried to pray and invited the Holy Spirit to come in and mend the hearts and all that. But we're not talking about that type of divorce. We mean the
Right.
divorce that actually needs to occur and to happen when we're separating and
Yeah.
denouncing and saying, I no longer want to be with you because I've been with you for so long. So I think it's
Right.
really important to just start off with that distinction. Like when we're
Of
talking
course.
about couples divorcing, marriage and things like that, like, no, we want to make sure couples are going. But divorcing trauma, we celebrate that and we say,
Yeah.
yes, get
Yeah.
divorced from trauma because
Yeah.
that's the only way we can survive.
That's an unhealthy attachment that we need to separate from. Absolutely. We don't want to live in that, connect to that, attach to that, and let that really keep us from the abundant, joyful, prosperous, etc. life that we are purposed to have. Absolutely. Get rid of that.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the abundant life. That's our promise. When we're talking about things that we've been promised, especially from the word, we know that
Yeah,
we are promised not just life. The Messiah said, I've come to give you life. He didn't just stop
exactly.
there. He could have just said, I've come to give you life. We'd be like, oh, thank you, Yeshua.
Mm,
Oh, thank
yes,
you, Messiah. Like,
yes.
thank you. But
No,
he said,
abundance.
he finished it.
Yeah,
I've come to give
yes.
you life. Well, not just any life, but life more abundantly, life in abundance. And when you decide to divorce trauma, then you open yourself up to the abundant life, which is
Mm,
beautiful. That you
absolutely.
cannot exist in the abundant life and in trauma. It's
They
just not.
cannot coexist. Darkness and light do not coexist. And sis, I'm glad that you kind of took what I was saying and just elaborate on it, because that's essentially what I'm speaking through, what it is that I really feel that, and the word talks about the thief coming to steal, and that just, how when we think about being attached to trauma, our life is being stolen. We are not living out a basic life really before we can even get to the abundance. So I love that you picked up on, what I was sending out there in the airwaves. But that's really what I'm feeling like. Before I divorced from trauma, I wasn't living, I was existing. But now that I am going through with the rest of y'all listeners, shout out to our listeners,
Yes.
promise you the freedom, the abundant life. Like we started off the episode talking about we glowing. I said, my sis look good. She said, I look good, I'm radiant. I promise you that's because I'm divorced from trauma. Like that's really what it is. Real talk.
It's true, and it's the only thing that you can use as an indicator that how we respond to the situations now. If you're divorced, if you've let trauma go, that you're not still a spouse of trauma. If
Right.
when the same things occur, the same things happen, someone speaks to you wildly. We talked about that. It could be family, friends, co-workers, neighbor. Someone speaks to you, off, like the light switch is not just off, it's broken, it's snapped off. Like
Yeah.
tone, words, all this, it's just off. But how we react to that lets us know who we're like, okay, are we still married to trauma, or have we left that and have we married abundant life? Have we decided to take covenant with abundant life and the healing life?
Exactly.
That's
Absolutely.
the question
Yeah.
you start asking yourself, because you're like, okay, this person is doing the exact same thing. They're the exact same way. I can't control them. They're the
Right.
exact same way. That cousin, that aunt, that sister, that brother, whoever. Like I said, neighbor, coworker, whoever, associate.
Right.
They're doing the exact same thing. They're playing their role. They're doing the exact same thing they've always been doing. But how do we respond lets us know.
That we are
Okay.
not just staying attached to that. Absolutely. There has to be a change. There has to be a change. Like if we're, it's like insanity. Like if we just keep on doing the same things and we just attaching to what we know is really like just bringing us down and
Yeah.
keeping us in the dumps, or, the various trials. And if we just keep on doing the same thing, that's insane. But when we start to gain that perspective and we're like, you know what? I want to be free. I want to get up off of this. I want to detach from this. Then we start to smell the roses, and we look different. We respond different. We just like, let me just dust this off, because I'm not gonna let this mess up my moment, my day, my year. Like we move different.
You move different and you begin to have a little more empathy, or maybe a lot more empathy. And that empathy doesn't make you enable anyone, because you're like, okay, we move different. Absolutely. Like the empathy we have says, I can look at you who's talking to me wild and just out of pocket. I can look at you and I can tell that you're going through something. I'm not making an excuse for you, But if I respond to you in the way that I usually do, and I know that you're going through something or you have something going on, that come on, that doesn't even make sense.
No.
If I want to move differently to get different results, because if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, as you so eloquently said, it's insanity.
Yeah.
And I've heard different variations of that. I'm like, whatever, that's the definition we're sticking with. And that's how
exactly. Yeah.
it's insanity. That person says one thing to us, and then we respond in the same energy. We respond in the same way. And then, oh, I wonder why this happened again. I wonder why we had a big blow up again, why we blocked each other and they're not talking to each other. If they're responding that same way, we have to do something different.
Exactly.
And our healing and our abundance and who we're married to and who we've said, okay, I'm going to actually exist with you now. That lets us know, okay, I have the liberty to move different. Sometimes, sis, we need the courage to move different.
Yes.
That we might want to move different, but that's what I pray for. Give me the courage to keep healing. I want to do it, but sometimes I want to revert, and I want to be honest.
Real talk. No, so because it's easier sometimes to just, stay or revert, and as opposed to, doing the hard work, but, definitely worth it, of, detaching and divorcing and just healing. But I love what you said about empathy, because empathy for many of us has us attaching and staying attached to things that's not good for us, because we feeling bad to somebody. And real talk, we're not even thinking about ourselves most times. We thinking about other people. But I love the way, sis, how you said, once we get to this point where we're divorcing trauma and we're detaching from these unhealthy things, we have a different perspective where our empathy looks like, I know this person is going through that, so I'm not going to respond in a certain way for my benefit. I'm healing, but I'm also not going to respond in a way because I know they're going through something. But that doesn't mean that I have to be in the mix of what they're going through and bring myself down. Because sometimes before we get on this, journey and we're detaching, whatever, we want to be Captain Save 'em.
Yeah.
We want to be Captain Save, and the empathy goes sideways. We going down and they going down.
The ship goes down.
All the way down. So I love what you said about empathy, because empathy, sometimes some of us use it in a way that is just so destructive. We think we're doing something, like we got to be the one to save them. I don't save people. I learned that lesson. I said, that's not my job. The one above saves. And once that clicked in my head, I moved different. I have empathy, but I love what you said. I have empathy in that way. Like I feel you, and I see you're going through stuff. So let me set boundaries. Back to one of our favorite things. Let me set boundaries for my benefit and yours. Yeah. That's it. Because you're on your journey, I'm on mine. I don't want to take you down. I don't want you to take me down.
Yeah, and if you think of gravity and just physics and all that, it's easier to be brought down than it is to be brought up. Because to try to pull someone up, you're pulling against gravity, but pulling someone down, you're working with gravity. Gravity wants you to go down.
Exactly.
It says, hey, you're up, come down right now. So it's easier to be pulled down to someone's level than to, I'm going to hoist them up. That's energy we don't want to use. And even when you were speaking, sis, and this is what I love about this space, when you're able to share and chat and open dialogue, new ideas and new conversations and new downloads are able to come in. When we look at what empathy is, I think a lot of people have labeled enabling as empathy.
Yes.
We've confused it and we've mixed it up. That if I have empathy for you, I love you so much that I'm not going to save you all the time. That's true empathy.
That's really is. Yes.
I love you. I love you. I want you to grow. I want whatever trouble you're in, whatever issues you're in, to build your character, as we are told that it does. That if I save you all the time, if I'm in the way and taking all the punches and hits, you never build up your resiliency. You never build up your character. You never build up your spiritual, physical, mental muscles. That I'm taking it all. I'm doing it all. Now I'm on a second journey because I already went through all my challenges. But now I'm taking yours too. So now I'm doubly going through it. I'm getting beat up because I want to jump in, and I don't have nails in my hands, and I don't have a piercing in my foot, or I don't have a wound on my side. We're not the savior. And so when people are like, I have so much empathy, you have so much enabling.
You've
now mislabeled it as empathy. It's enabling. That if you're not allowing someone to go through, life is life. We have to go to grow. If I'm standing in the way, and I have before, that's when I wasn't. That's when I wasn't healed enough to know, because I'm like, oh man, I wish people had been there for me. So I'm going to be that person, that age old.
Oh yeah, look, I've been like that too. I raised both hands and both feet if I could, but then I would be, flat down. I can't. But in theory, both hands, that what was me.
It's true. You say, I'm going to save this person. I'm going to jump in the way because nobody was there for me and nobody did it for me. And I have to be that for this person. And
Yeah.
you get beat up and beat down. And that really explains married to trauma, that my traumatic experiences made me take on these people's challenges because I said no one took on my challenges.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the person that I wish I had.
Exactly.
That's trauma. That's coming from a trauma place. But being divorced from trauma lets me say, I know that you're in that space and I will help you and support you, but not to the point of my detriment and not to the point where you don't have the ability to build your character.
Absolutely.
That's empathy.
Yeah, no, sis, everything you said, I concur. I agree. It is so true. We need to allow people to grow. What I'm hearing is that building character, and in our whole Captain Save 'em, unintentionally enabling or whatever, thinking it's empathy. We're not realizing until we choose this, path of healing and divorce trauma. We're not realizing that they need to go through stuff, because it's almost like we went through stuff. And back to that love piece, when we talk about divorcing trauma, I want to bring in love. Like, we love and care for other people,
yes,
and attach and so forth, and we don't realize it. I'll speak for myself. We don't realize that love and care, we're not extending it to ourselves, because if we were, we wouldn't just be like all up in their mix. We would be in our own blossoming, doing great things, because like you said, we're already at a certain level in our journey that we want to help others, but we need to just take that to the next level and add that abundance for us, while here and there being what we can be to that person without enabling them. But we so sometimes locked into what somebody else is going through, their drama, their this, that, and the third. We can't even fly. We can't even fly and enjoy our good life. So I love what you said. We need to let them grow and develop, and not just try to save them for their benefit and ours. They got to go through stuff so that they can be, able to withstand whatever life, because we clearly, those of us who, have empathy and mislabeled as enabling, we clearly have been, gifted with a way to manage things, that we're doing our own thing while trying to help others. So we want somebody to have that too. If you love and care about somebody, you want them to grow. Sometimes it's hard to see someone. Now, let's be real. It's hard to see someone you love and care about go through struggles. I think that's a real part of it. You don't want to see them go through it, but they have to in order to grow. I'll speak for myself. I think subconsciously, that's part of what happened to me. When you want to save people or enable whatever, you're like, man, I don't want to see them fall. I don't want to see them cry. I don't want to see them, whether literally or metaphorically, but they have to. How else they gonna grow? Because look, I've cried. I've, fallen literally or metaphorically. So all of it, we have to let people fall and cry.
And we do. And really being divorced from trauma allows us to walk through that door. That I'm not saying, oh, I want you to be so hurt. But if that hurt brings about your growth, then
exactly.
I actually do want you to experience that. I'm thinking of my most traumatic spaces and places that I've been in. I'm thinking of those things, and I am full of gratitude because they shaped me into who I am today. They made me in my career. They made me push to do this and push to do that and speak about this and never let it rest about healing and authentic healing, because okay, I was in those spaces. That's not being traumatized and saying, I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to be around anyone again. I'm never going to trust again. That's me saying, I see my challenges and I'm not letting it affect my life to the point where I close myself off and it's not a boundary anymore. It's a brick wall. No, I want to remain open, knowing that I went through this thing and it made me be who I am right now. I have to have gratitude for that, because I don't think I'd be this way without it. And when you begin to shift your perspective in that way, that's when you begin to undo that marriage to trauma. And then you're like, I'm actually divorced from you now. I'm a divorcee from trauma. And then, because we talked about last episode too, like going back to your ex, right? Like you smell
Mm-hmm.
cologne, for the women's side, you smell cologne. For the men, you smell perfume.
Right,
Fellas,
right.
you see an old
It's
picture.
tempting to want to go back, be like, "Ooh, she looks so good."
It makes
He
you
looks
want to go
so
back.
good.
Google Photos and OneDrive and Facebook and all these places, they do the memories. And
Oh,
some
yes,
memories you don't
yeah.
want to see. Some
You're like,
memories
why you brought that up? You bringing up
Facebook,
old stuff.
you didn't check in with me about this. What's going on? You should have asked me, is this an okay memory to force in your face?
Right.
I say the same thing to OneDrive. You see a picture, you're triggered, you want to go back. But the reality is this, sometimes we wash over all the pain and just remember what was good. No, there was some bad things that happened that shifted our lives. When we're divorced from trauma, we need to remain divorced, and then we can marry that abundance and
exactly
celebrate what you went through, because it shaped you, it made you.
I agree, sis. The way you said it sounds so nice. I'm gonna be honest. Look, I be talking to God like, God, really, why? In the moment of it, it be so like tough, like
it's hard.
The past struggles and even current ones. I'd be like, God, really? But then to your point, when I'm, sometimes in the midst of it, but more realistically, when I'm past that valley, if you will, I'd be like, okay, God, I got you. I see what you did there. I see why I am the woman that I am, and the things that I can do, and the blessings that I not only receive from you, but that I can be to others because of what I've been through. But in the moment, though, I'd be like, God, come on now, really? This is what we're doing?
No, it's true.
This is just be my conversations with God. Be like, and then I also be like, okay, God, just please, I know I get a little bit of what you're trying to do, but can we just lighten up a little bit? So I be just conversations all day, every day. But I agree with you 100%. It's purposeful. Yeah. It's purposeful. Even though we got to go through some stuff, we can see on the other side of it how it shaped us to be the people that we are. So I couldn't agree with you more, sis.
Yeah, and it's hard to be there. I'm not, putting rose-colored glasses on and saying, "Oh, you get there." No, it's a tough road to say I can appreciate what I went through. Like, that's not something you just wake up saying, "Oh," especially if you're in the midst of it, especially if you just come out of it. Like, and that's the thing about being on the journey. It's laser focused, because if I look to what you're doing, sis, I might stumble and trip over my own journey. Mm-hmm. And if I'm watching your healing journey and trying to emulate it, even though it's not my journey, that I'm gonna be set back. I'm gonna have to go back 10 steps and then keep going forward. So it's like, that's perfect, because you end up being on your own journey, and what worked for me worked for me. Do I think that everybody should have a certain degree of gratitude for what they went through? Yeah, but who am I to say that? I don't know what everybody went through. I went through some tough things, but I would never disrespect your experience and say you better be grateful and happy. Nah, like you have to work. You have to work up to that. And I want to take a moment to say that, because there are times where, especially as a therapist, I'll say things a certain way, and I don't want to be insensitive to what people are going through. Mm-hmm. Completely focused on healing, but also focused on the journey, that we don't jump in and put the gas on the journey just to get to the end result. That's not going to work. So if you're on the journey now and you're struggling and you're in a situation and you're like, there's no possible way in heaven, hell, Sheol, the lake of fire, Tartarus, anywhere, there's no way that I'm about to be grateful for this. That's fine. And if you're there, that's okay. And when you get to the place that you are grateful, like, hit us up, let us know, because it's a journey.
No, you're 100% right. I love the way you said that too. But I'm hearing, like, absolutely, people are on a different place in their journey. So, like you said, who are we to say, like, be grateful? Because what you're going through in that moment, and like, I can't find no gratitude right just yet, but eventually, hopefully, possibly. But what I'm also hearing too, and I think this is a really good point, is I've experienced it, be it intentionally or unintentionally. I feel like sometimes people try to marginalize one's trauma or one's trials, like a one-up, like, oh man, your foot hurt, my leg had almost been cut off. And I'm just like, and real talk, I've been the type of person, as I reflect, to then kind of like dim in my mind and just even in conversations than what I felt like I was going through, because it felt like they were going through something worse. And I rebuked that. To your point, we all on this journey, and maybe somebody's going through something right now like they can't find gratitude for, and we hear that, hit us up when you feel that way. But just in a nutshell, like, if you're going through something bad, I don't want to feel so bad that I can't just heal my heart from whatever I'm going through that you may not feel is as bad as yours. But it's my hurt. It's my trauma. It's my drama. It's my whatever. And so I feel like we do have to be reminded that we're on our own journey. We don't want someone to bring us down with what they're going through. We want to be able to have that empathy for ourselves too. I need some empathy for me, for my problems, while I empathize for you and yours.
It's true. I mean, we have to have enough for our own journey. If we're giving out so much, it's like we don't have enough to keep going and moving on. And I love what you said, because it's like we want to help everybody and we want to flow in that space, but we can't. And it's painful to say at times, because we're used to saving people. We're used to always being there. We cannot save everybody. We might have the desire to do it. And should we try to do it and start it, it's like, you can't do it. And we have to really look at the reason that we want to save everybody, as we mentioned before, because the intention and how we're healing and how we're trying to help other people to heal matters. That if I'm only helping you, sis, that if I'm only assisting on your healing journey, for some self-glorification reason, and I'm trying to heal some hole and void that is inside of me, that's not the right reason. That I need to come with my own level of healing, and I see you and I'm like, okay, I want to help you on your healing journey, and then I in turn get help too. Then I have enough energy for the journey. That if I've consumed all of my energy on all 50 of these other people, and then I want to press start on mine, I have no gas in my tank.
Amen. That's so true.
I have no nourishment. I need snacks. I like to eat. I need snacks for the journey. I want nuts.
Yes, y'all make me hungry now, please.
Listen,
no. So y'all make me hungry now. Serious talk. Serious. Y'all should stop with the snack business talk right now, because I'm hungry.
I'm just saying.
No, but real talk. You're right though.
Trail mix, Cheez-Its, give me something. I'm just saying, if I have given it all out, if I have let it all go, or I've opened up all my storehouses and just emptied them, reserved nothing for myself, that we've reserved nothing. I'm going to press, whether I'm in a car, a scooter, whatever. Even if I'm just walking, I don't even have the energy to continue to walk on my journey, because I'm so depleted. And so it's like,
you're telling the whole truth.
I'm just like, to your point, it's like we have to focus on our own journey. It doesn't mean that I love you any less or that I'm unconcerned with your journey. It's just that we all have to do it. The Apostle Paul said, everyone has to work out their own soul in salvation. It doesn't mean that I'm unconcerned with your soul. It just means that I cannot be so concerned with your soul that I neglect mine. That I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm going to say this, and then, I'm going to land this plane, right?
Yep.
Sometimes we get so focused on someone else's healing just to neglect our own. We don't want to focus on what we got going on. So I'm going to pour myself. I'm just going to, whatever you need. Oh my gosh, let me know. I'll be there to talk to you.
Avoidance for our own stuff, girl.
We avoid it. We avoid it.
Facts.
And then when that person heals so much that they don't need us, because that's a thing,
then we feel in some kind of way. But it's like, we shoulda, coulda, woulda helped our own lives. Coach myself. These days I be saying stuff like, you know what, I need to coach myself a little more. I'm out here coaching other people. Myself. One love. I love the people. One love. But I'm like, I gotta love me and coach me. What are some beautiful, abundant things that God has for me? But it's so true though, because we be in our feelings. Once we've coached someone to health and wealth and so on and so forth, and it's like, but then they don't need you. They out, as they should be. Okay,
as they should be.
But we gotta, like you said, save some snacks. No, some y'all get hungry now. Just to talk about it. You gotta save some snacks for us. No, but before you even got on that lovely whole situation you were talking about, energy and needs some snacks and all that stuff. I was thinking in perfect segue. I love our whole vibe right now. Just our vibe in general, period. I was like, what does, and you started talking about it already, what does being divorced from trauma look like, sound like, and then you touched on some things that made me think about this response to that question. It looks like healthy dialogue with people who are kind of at that space where a journey of where we are, they're kind of around there, whereby they have the empathy in that true sense, not in the enabling sense. So they'll understand boundaries that we set. Mm-hmm. They'll understand that, we care about them, but we care about us. So we're gonna, maybe work a little bit on whatever we said we're gonna do with them, but then, be like, okay, sis, I gotta go now because, I gotta go do X, Y, Z. Be like, sis, I got you. Take care of you. Our conversations are going to be different. The people that we're going to be around is different. We're going to act different. We're going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to answer that call just right now. I'm just going to relax after a long day. I'm going to have a little bubble bath. I'm going to journal. I'm going to just sit and meditate. Whatever it is, it's going to look different. So sis, talk to me. How is being divorced from trauma, etc.? How does that look like? Like, how does that feel? Just talk to me. Talk to the people.
You hit it right on the head. It looks and feels different, that you are not going to be the same person that you were. And you might even shock yourself. Like, because sometimes healing will sneak up on you and you'll realize that you're actually more healed than you originally thought you were. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. I just saw a post today. When's the last time you celebrated your small wins? We focus on the big wins, your small wins. That I did not cuss that person out when they said that to me. That I did not do that. That I did not block you. Like I was a block queen. That I did not block you when we have a disagreement. Like this is me being honest on the journey, right?
Yeah, for real.
Transparency that you're okay with, because it's like I used to block, like you say, one cross thing, you're blockety blocked on every place. Smoke signal block, Facebook, Instagram, any way you think you can contact me, telepathically blocked, done. So I don't need to do that anymore. That's one
real
scenario of many where I'm like, I don't need to respond to you in that way, that I don't need to engage with you in that way. And that should I not want to be around you, I don't have to suffer in silence. I don't have to say because our DNA is the same, or because I've known you for 25 years, or because, we went to church together as kids, or because our moms are best friends. Any of that, I don't factor that in anymore. No. Because that's what keeps you in trauma. But as a divorcee of trauma, I'm saying I recognize what you're doing and I recognize what I could be doing. And I say, I actually don't want to walk that path anymore. See, the divorce really does give you a new perspective on life, that I am looking at things from a different lens and a different perspective, because trauma is no longer my filter. It's not the glasses that I wear anymore, that I've taken them off and my eyes are clear. And I said, actually, I see the scenario before it even happens. And I'm not even going to walk down that alley. I know that. I know what's going to happen down there.
You absolutely know.
I've been down that alley 75 times.
Why you don't want that no more. You done with that. Done
with that. And I don't have to convince myself that people are going to change when they don't. I have hope for everybody. That's the other thing too, as me as a divorcee, that I'm not really looking at potential, that you have the potential to heal. That's great. Are you actually healing though? Because we have the potential to be everything. We have the potential to be billionaires. Are you working towards being a billionaire?
Potential to be everything. I like that. But are you though?
And this is coach. And I'm like, I see what you're doing. I hear you, but I'm going to bring you the very real and honest truth. Are we working towards this? That I could do anything. That I don't want to see the potential in what you're doing, because the fruit has to be bared in a way that I'm like, I would like to eat that fruit. And if it's not a fruit that I want to eat because it's rotten and has worms in it, or it looks one way on the outside and it's really nasty on the inside, I'm not going to convince myself. I'm not going to go in this cycle again. I'm not about to convince myself that you're going to be different. I'm going to be different. And that might be distance. And that might be me taking a step back and me not engaging, or gray rocking you, right? Where you're what's going on and on and on. You get the blank stare, I will okay you to death. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
that's how I operate now. I don't need to be right all the time. I used to live that life. I had to be right all the time. I had to get the last word.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to disagree. Blessings.
Exactly. I know more than you know I know. I'm just listening like affirmed, concur. In my mind, I'm like agreed, concur. Like
Yeah.
yes, all of what you said. So it's like being like divorcing trauma, being divorced from it looks like not doing the things that we used to do, not going back down that alleyway, like not having to worry about blocking people or any of these things, because we're not going to be worried about the potential and keep on going back and forth. We're just going to just as a means to say the word, and people can think whatever they want to think and just keep it moving. I love that because, for me, I think you said something like, instead of cussing somebody out or whatever, you're not doing that, like celebrating the small wins. That's what you said. And I was like that part, because Mr. Even I was maybe 3 weeks ago, somebody would made
Right.
out, but like I might have been agitated because they cussed me out. And just to see the person, I could have just been all emotional in my feelings or whatever the case may be, but I didn't even flinch. I just kept it moving, enjoying my life, enjoying my day. And I think that's, part of what divorcing trauma, being divorced from trauma, it looks like. It's like we are working on enjoying our life, continuing healing, being happy, healthy, whatever the things that brings us joy and happiness. We're doing that and not feel like we got to be caught back up. Another thing I used to do along the lines of what you were saying, sis, is get back connected with somebody. Like, oh, they didn't mean that. You touched on this earlier. Like, we forget the bad. I used to forget. I said my memory sometimes just immediately forget the bad. I'm just nicey with it. No, like I need forgive, but not necessarily forget, from my and anyone else who's feeling this, from my protection, from my sanity, for my well-being and growth or whatever. So it's good to be divorced, to not feel like you have to go back and give somebody another chance, because potential, you got potential to do everything, but are you doing it though? Are you doing it though? And if you're not, no judgment, but you stay over there, so we go my way and live my own life.
Hey, it's true. It's true. And it's the way that it has to be. No judgment. If you're choosing to live this life that you will continue to be married to trauma, enjoy. We've had the conversations. We've tried, we've had, chats and hey, here's different resources. Let's talk about this. If you have chosen to remain there, that is what you're choosing to do. But
as for me,
we won't be connected anymore.
We won't be doing that. No, there's too much life to be living. There's too much, relaxation. There's, purpose-filled things that we can do. We can collaborate. Like what we're doing right now. If we were married to trauma, we wouldn't even be able to do what we're doing now.
We couldn't do it
and help others and ourselves. Like it's a myriad of ways that it looks like when you're divorced from trauma. Collaborative work things. I find myself, I think you said something, or maybe this is what I took away, like you do different things that you might not even think about, like in your being divorced from trauma. You're like, oh, I didn't even know I was this healed. I'm a planner by nature, but now, I'm good with a little spontaneous, like, okay, let's go on a little trip. Let's, it's okay that I didn't have it all planned out, but it's fun. It's exciting. Go to a show, go to whatever, things that I love to do. But when you're married to trauma, you don't even do the things that you really want to do. And you just kind of stay, I'll speak for myself. You stay stuck in a certain routine, and you stay stuck in being attached to foolishness. You can't even just live. You can't just live jolly free. So I am grateful to be able to just do things that bring me joy and happiness, and not feel like I gotta just be attached and married to trauma anymore. So that's some of what it looks like to me, sis, being divorced from trauma.
It's true. And we're just bouncing off. It's the reality of what it is. And finding the things that you love to do and just reminding yourself. I mean, it's true. You can follow the divorcee's real life, like you begin to relearn yourself when you separate from significant other, you relearn yourself. and you say, okay, I knew I liked to do this, but I forgot myself. Because if you get to the point where you have to get a divorce, it's already rotten on the inside. It's nasty. Happy people are not getting a divorce. I don't care what anyone's trying to say, the narrative that's trying to be spun. The relationship is not a happy place. It's very toxic. You don't want to be in there, or you wouldn't be getting a divorce. So if you're there, then you've forgotten a lot of your identity. You've forgotten a lot of who you are. You've forgotten your likes, dislikes. You just altered yourself because the divorce makes you take on a new identity. So once you get out of that, you're like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, I actually did like to do this. Like I just restarted swimming. Like for me, I just restarted swimming again. I love the water. I'm a fish.
Oh, love it.
People have to pull me out of the water. Like, we're ready to go. I'm like, no, I'm gonna live here. Like I wish I could live here.
Nice. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful because, in all honesty, when you are healed and you really have said, okay, I divorced from trauma, you actually begin to revert to your childhood loves.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You begin to swim.
I do.
You might want to ride a bike. You might want to paint, color, do whatever, watch certain movies that are nostalgic. Like you begin to say, I've forgotten all this, because too much adulting is not good for anybody. And I'll die on that hill. Too much adulting.
For real. Oh my gosh. All work and no play. That ain't it. That ain't it.
It's nasty business. And any society, any person, any place, any organization that wants you just to work and not have any downtime, self-care, that person or that place, that organization, that being, that entity, that whatever doesn't truly care about your well-being.
Exactly.
Because they say, go and enjoy, take a break, take a rest, take a siesta. Like all these European countries and all these Latin American countries do that. They close down for lunch. America and other places, right? Because it's not just corporate America, it's the corporate world in general. Just go, push. That's trauma in itself. You know, really that you're just going 100% all the time. Your body's gonna break down, and your mind will break down first. Your mind can break down, and your body can still keep going. You know, you force it. You grin and bear it. You keep the mask on. We don't need to do that anymore. That we go back to what we love, because we're in a space, and you relearn your identity. What did I like before I was in that trauma space? What did I like to do? Because I've forgotten it. I've laid it down because I couldn't hold that in my trauma. I had to choose, and I picked up my trauma. But now that I put my trauma down, at least a certain level of it, then I'm free. I'm free to love and be loved. I'm free to engage in the things that I really like to do that bring me joy. And you said it. You and I, we could not have been able to just form this partnership where we're able to just go forward. There's no way, if we were still married to trauma, that it couldn't happen. And that goes right, like you said, for any collaboration. I want to be like, exactly. Anytime you collaborate and anytime you bring people together, there has to be a level of healing that you've already reached. You're not trying to get there. You have to reach it, and then you all gather and heal together. So sometimes we miss it, right? And we feel like maybe we're the outcasts or we're the black sheep. And, you just kind of get stuck in a narrative, and you begin to reject the people who were there to help you feel included and loved and all that. Like, no, I don't want to reject you, sis. Like, I know that you're here for my healing journey, and I'm here for yours. Exactly. We're collaborating. We're together. We're doing this only because we're not married to trauma anymore. We had to divorce it. We had to sign the divorce decree that I can't be yoked, because marriage is a yoke. I can't be yoked to you anymore, because now it's really, we're unequally yoked in that way. So.
Oh, sis, everything it's like I'm hanging on every word, because this is such good stuff. No, but it's so true. Like, look, I'm gonna just pause real quick. What she said, okay? What she said. I hope you heard it. If you didn't, first time here, I need you to rewind and play it back, run it back.
Replay, bring it back.
Replay, remix. But no, all of what you said, and I'm hearing so many things, when I talked about us collaborating, doing this, but I'm just thinking, like, any relationship, once we are divorced from trauma, any new relationship that we enter into, be it a romantic, platonic, business, and, our podcast endeavor, I'll speak for myself, gravitate towards a person that you can discern is at a level of healing that which you would want to connect with in whichever way, as I said, romantic, platonic, collaborative, business, etc. So that's a part of how it's different. And I love how you said, sis, you were relearning ourselves, because we suppressed whoever we are when we were, married to trauma, and we were connected in those ways where we were just all about somebody else's well-being and was not focused on our own. So we don't even remember what we like. And so, excuse me, you're so right. Like, when I think about what, my first love was actually music, Mike Tech 1-2. And so it never fully left me, but I didn't give it the energy. Let me give everybody else energy for all of them problems.
Yep.
But as I've been on this journey and, have, been in my healing and divorce from trauma, et cetera, and just that abundant life just in my mind, I've, had a few lyrics laid down on a track, check that out, coming soon. And also I love music such that I love dancing too. And, I've done a performance recital and, and want to do more of that. It's like you end up loving yourself and wanting to do things for yourself on any way, whether it be the simple, which is really not simple, but the simple, just taking time out of any day, not letting any space run you ragged. As my sis mentioned, the world, if you let it, will have you working 24/7. And before you know it, you just fall down. You just keel over and you're just done. So I feel like intentionality is one of my favorite words. And I take my time. I don't care what time they're giving. I'm taking time to breathe, relax, to make a joke. I tell my students sometimes, like the other day, I don't forget what I said, but I said something I guess they thought was funny, and it was kind of being silly with them. And I was like, I deserve to laugh too. Y'all out here laughing about foolishness.
Listen,
I said, I wanted to laugh too. So I take my moments just how I take them. I'm not going to wait for permission to take time for me, for my well-being. So whether it be on that tip or any one of the things me and my sis mentioned, swimming for her, dancing, music for me, mic check, whatever, from the seemingly little to the big, love you and just love yourself big. That is what it looks like being divorced from trauma. Love you, pour into you. Just make your life be something that you're like, ooh, that if you were somebody else, you'd be like, oh, wow, I love her life. I love his life. Live the life that you would look onto and be like, wow, that person is really taking care of themselves. They're really doing things that make their heart happy and their heart sing. Live that life. Be that person. I look at myself and I'm like, oh, wow, I love me. I've always loved me, but now even more because I'm just doing things, that make me smile. I love to watch holiday movies during the holiday season. That's me. Do you? If that's not your thing, that's fine. But I love to curl up in my pajamas and watch some holiday movies, have some hot cocoa. Do you, whatever that is. And don't let anybody let you feel like whatever it is that you're into, because that's another thing too. So we just listen to people too much. Listen to people too much, and we feel like because of whatever reason, we should not be doing X, Y, Z. Insert whatever part about you, be it you a woman, you Black, you whatever you are, like, oh, you shouldn't enjoy snuggling up and watching holiday movies, or you shouldn't enjoy doing anything. It's like, no, if it's something that you enjoy doing, don't let anyone make you feel like you shouldn't do that to enjoy your life. You like skating, you like whatever you like, do it. Jet setting, do you. Live your life. Because guess what? It's you for live the life. Nobody can live it for you.
Nobody can. And when you're gone, it's you gone. It's nobody else. And when we in that great getting up morning, when Judgment Day comes, we're not going to be asked about anybody else. We're not going to be asked, oh, what did Steph, what did you do? We're not, oh, well, she made me do this and she made me. No, none of that. So we don't need to wait until judgment. We need to be living that life now. That it's about, okay, how can I make sure that I'm living this life and how it needs to go? And you mentioned something so key and profound that even on social media, and this is the reason that we had to start the podcast, because we've noticed that on social media, and it's no shade to anyone's healing journey, that it is glamorized and people have bedazzled it and put the nice cute crystals, the Swarovski crystals on there, and it looks so nice and pretty, but it's really not, right? That if I'm looking at your journey and I'm like, oh man, I want to heal just like that. Or I'm not even knowing what you went through to get to that level, and I wanted to take a pause right there, that you could see someone's anointing, you could see someone's healing journey, you could see just how someone's living and be like, oh, I want that. You start to covet it. You become envious of their journey and say, I want that. you're not just asking for the journey, you're asking for the trouble that came so they could get that. I want to make that point very clear, that if you want the blessing and the glory of all that you see, you're also inviting and asking for all the hardships, the boulders. You're asking for all the pitfalls. You're asking for the ridicule and the persecution that came along on that journey. So before we set our minds and our thoughts and our intentions on coveting someone's healing journey, right? Before we say that, because that's a trauma response all in itself. Before we say that, oh, I'm looking at what they're doing, I'm looking at their life, before we begin to utter those words and have those thoughts formulate in our mind, which travels here and it goes back and forth and then it spills out of here, you better be prepared for the journey that they went through to get there. Don't just look at the end, but look at the whole thing. You don't know the tears that were cried. You don't know the yells that were released. You don't know oh, I want to give up, I want to leave. You don't know what was happening in the heart and the mind. You have no idea how dark it was. So
so just all of which, again, listeners, listen to what she's saying. Rewind, remix, because it's so true.
You have no idea.
People want the glory, and they don't necessarily want all the trials and tribulations. So it's so true.
They don't want it. They don't. I'm gonna put up a few comments, Jermaine.
Yes.
They don't want it. I like that she said this. Trauma gets no alimony, right? We were talking about that. It gets no alimony. We're not paying anything to you. We divorced you. We're not paying anything to you. And it goes in that same vein that, hold on,
yes,
like, we worked hard for this. I'm not giving anyone any of this. Like, we went through, we struggled, we endured. There's no way. Right. You don't know our story. You have no idea what occurred. And some things we'll share and some things we may never. You have no clue. Before you say, oh, I want this level of healing, really contemplate what
do you really, because you don't know. You really, like you said, sis, you don't know what we had to go through. And I love what you said about, like, some parts we'll share, but some parts we won't. And I want to normalize that, because I feel like sometimes people feel like they have to share everything about themselves. Yes. And then when they share, and then some people don't know how to protect that shared information, then it's like we're re-traumatizing ourselves and we feel some kind of way. So I have learned, I share what I want to share, nothing more, nothing less. That's it.
Yeah. And we have to use that discernment and know when we can share and what we can share. And especially, when you're speaking about being in ministry, right? That people see you in a certain light. I got called to ministry when I was 19 and I was in college and I heard the voice and I'm like, come on, like, leave me alone, get out of here. You know what I mean? When you're called to ministry, some people cannot see your humanity. They put you on a pedestal, right? God ordained in 2018. It was great. It was wonderful. I love preaching. I love doing that. But I also recognize that some people, because of how their minds were, could not allow me to just be Stephanie. I always had to be Minister Stephanie, that I could never step down. It's not that I distanced myself from those people, but I always reminded them, not of my flesh, but of my humanity that allowed me to still be a human. And maybe I'm not always going to be quoting scripture when you see me. And maybe I'm not always going to be in a good mood. And maybe I'm not, because I have emotions and feelings that I'm wading through like everybody else. We have to allow people to be human in that way. That I see you going through. I'm going to allow you to be in your humanity. I'm not going to hold you to this ridiculous standard, because I'm seeing the end of your story and I haven't even read your book. That's what it's like. I like visualizations.
Yes.
You knew it was coming.
Yes, I know it's coming. Go with it. Give him the visual, sis. Give him to him.
I'm opening the book of your life, sis.
Yes.
And I'm going all the way to the last 10 pages, maybe 5 pages. And I'm reading the end. I'm reading the triumphant. I'm reading the victory. I'm reading this, the abundance. I'm reading this, the world traveler, the speaker. I'm reading this, right?
Yeah.
All the way to the end. And I haven't even gone to page 1. I haven't done the foreword. I haven't done the preface. Nothing.
You don't even know how it was when I was a little girl. You don't know. You don't know the life.
Isn't it?
The life of a little girl coming over from another country to a whole new country to have just the acclamation. You have zero idea. Just you see all the accolades and the accomplishments and all of this.
Yes. And I fashioned myself after the last 10 pages of your story. And I forget about all the ones ahead of it. So I live my life. I shape my life off of the last 10 pages, off of the glory. And I have no idea
You
that when I'm
cannot have the humanity, as you said, as you rightfully stated. You cannot see someone's humanity and everything you cannot see below all the glitz and the glamour and the excitement, the roots of what someone has been through, their full story. If you're just looking at the last few pages, sis, talk to them, preach.
it's true. And the reality is that we have got to stop doing that. When you said let's normalize not oversharing everything. And even if someone asks, we don't, there's a polite way to let people know that no, I'm not going to share that. Oh, you know what? Oh, that, I let you know what I'm going to let you know, or, oh, thank you for asking, but I'll share it when I'm
Exactly.
comfortable. These are just scenarios that, you can say these.
Absolutely.
You know what, I'll just share when I'm comfortable. I'll share a little more when I'm comfortable, Oh, thank you for inquiring. I appreciate your concern. You're appreciating it, but oh no, that's not what I want to share right now. Those are phrases that
Exactly.
we say. And it might be uncomfortable to start with, right? Because sometimes when we don't have boundaries, we don't like confrontation, so we just say, oh, okay, I'm going to tell you everything just because you asked. No, we don't have to do that. So along that same vein,
No,
we don't have to. We don't have to engage in that way.
And I love that you said these phrases, sis, to help someone, to work through saying that, they didn't want to share. But I promise you that once, you get into that habit of saying whichever phrase my sis gave you a few examples to set that boundary, it's better to live in that discomfort for a little while you get on the training wheels of practicing that, because once you start sharing things with people who are not to know your business and the sort of like how that may take root, then it's going to bring you down. My sis talked about gravity. Bringing something down is easy. Bringing something back up is hard. So if your heart is hurt because you've shared something that you realize that it wasn't for that person's ears, and however they utilize what you've shared and it brings you down, that could be very hurtful. And then to bring yourself back up, I've been there. I have shared things with people, and this is why I am the way that I am, with people who I realized that it was not for them to know. And then I had to work that much harder to bring myself back up to this radiant glow. So I'm said no, so I'm not go back. So I will say the phrase, I'll let you know when I let you know, or whatever, the various phrases my sister said. I don't care how uncomfortable I feel. It feels more comfortable than telling somebody something you don't want to tell them.
Well, it's true. We're going to be uncomfortable no matter what. Either we're going to be uncomfortably telling someone that we have a boundary and that's not information that I'm comfortable sharing. And again, it doesn't have to be rude and nasty. Give me that. We don't have to do that.
Exactly.
Don't have to engage like that. And what I have seen too, especially in everywhere, that people who don't want to say things or don't feel comfortable, the best way to say it for you is rude and nasty and mean. We don't have to do that. We can say it assertively. We don't have to be passive aggressive or shady or dropping subs. We don't need to do that. We don't have to be overly aggressive. We can just be very assertive and say, no, that's not what I want to share. And I'm okay with that. And no one can guilt us. No one can guilt us into, oh man, you have to share. No, that's not true. And that's not the reality that we have to face. And so I wanted to say that because it's like a lot of people are going overboard and sharing too much. And then, when you were talking about gravity, I just started thinking, when you fall, you get hurt and it's painful and you could break a bone. Well, having to climb back up to the places of healing, you usually don't make it. You usually give up. And it usually takes you way longer than you expected. So if you're at a certain space of healing, remain there by any means necessary. Don't allow yourself
to be pulled down.
You don't blame the other people. We allow ourselves to be dragged
brought down.
Intentionally using that language because, they drag me down. No, we're taking accountability. That's another divorcee trait. And we take accountability that I don't need to blame you. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you did. If I made the choice to engage with you in an unhealthy space, I made the choice. And I allowed myself to be brought way down. And then I have to work on myself to be brought back up, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just want to highlight what you said, sis, assertiveness versus aggressive. And I think that's a struggle for people of certain cultures, if you will, maybe, that they struggle, with saying things, and if they feel like if they're going to say it, it's going to come out wrong. But just highlight what my sis said. There are ways that we can be assertive to stand up for ourselves, for our boundaries. Practice that. If it doesn't come, with ease, practice it. As opposed to the default for some people, aggressiveness. That's not going to get you nowhere. Assertive. That's it. Just highlighting assertive versus aggressive. Sis, you ain't saying nothing but a word. That's it.
It's true. It's the reality of where we have to be. That's how you know that you are divorced from trauma. And there's levels to divorce. There's a long, you long for your person. You keep one along, and then you go through the stages of grief. Like you're gonna go through, and that's okay. But remain divorced from trauma. Because the discomfort and the dis-ease is worth it, so that you can exist in that eternal level of healing and peace. Since I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, how have we already been?
How do we get there? How do we get there? Oh my gosh! I feel like we just started for real. But listeners, peace, freedom, divorce from trauma, live a life that is abundant. You deserve it. But yes, we are coming towards, oh my gosh, I can't believe we are here.
I know. Isn't that wild?
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the flow, when you're matching energy and you're just, it's good, it's getting good, that time will leave, that time will go. And I think
time flies. When you're in the flow, when you're having fun.
when you're in the flow. And this conversation is perpetual, that it's just something that keeps happening over and over again. And we'll always be able to fill up the time, because this is real life. We're not talking about what we read in the textbook. We're talking about what we lived, and not just live, but we are still living now. And this is the goal that we want to help people know. Hey, you can do this too. We did it. We're not superheroes. We don't have X-Men, blood flowing in our genes. We can't shoot stuff from our eyes and webs and all that. We're human beings.
We're human beings, and we are living through it right now in the flesh right here. So you can do it too.
You can do it too. And we're here to help you and support you. If you want to reach out to us with any questions, any comments, you want to share some things that you want us to maybe just think about, we want to hear from you. And that's the reality of it. Like, we want to hear from you. You can write us. You can let us know how you felt. For those who are listening now, we thank you for your comments. And for those who will do the rewatch, we want to hear from you, because we're interested in your healing journey, because we're walking it too.
Yes.
You can hit us up.
We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you.
Yes. Share with us, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, something that we said that you're like, girl, I feel you on that. Like we want that energy just as much as we giving it to you and sharing with you. Share with us too. Tell us what you can relate to. You like that we said something a certain way. We really would appreciate hearing from you, because we're doing this for you and us, but for you too.
Absolutely. It's a collective journey, and we're grateful and we're thankful. Oh man. So it's so nice to be a divorcee from trauma. Like, it feels good. It feels good. This is the divorce. This is the only divorce I want to engage with. Okay. Divorce from trauma, so we can have healthy relationships. We can live an abundant life. We can be in peace. Our eyes are not clouded by trauma. We have the lens of healing. We can see. And that is the place that we want to live in and exist in.
It's a beautiful place. Yes. Forever, ever.
Forever, ever, forever, ever. We're right there. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Love you so much, sis. Sis, it was a pleasure. Sis. Love you so much and appreciate you. We will see you on the next episode.
Yeah.